Seiko watches. These days, when I hear people talk about Seiko, I don't often hear any middle-of-the-road opinions on them. People either love Seiko or they just can't stand them. Today's video is going to be about this watch right here, the Seiko SRPK89. And I brought out this watch because I got it a few months ago when I was on an op, and I bought it as a little bit of a memento. Well, that's a lie, actually. Originally, I bought this watch as a piece to give away on the channel. However, I let this watch sit around for a few months, and recently I busted it out of the box and have started wearing it around. And I've kind of gotten used to wearing it on the wrist every day. And I'll talk a little bit more about why I chose to keep this watch in the end and why it's probably going to stick around in the collection, even though I didn't originally mean to keep it. So without further ado, let's actually talk about this. So the Seiko SRPK89 is a reissue essentially of the SNXS series from, well, back before I was into watches, right? The SNXS is one of Seiko's classic models, and the SRPK is the newly released, essentially vintage reissue of that reference. And this watch takes a lot of stylistic cues from the SNXS line, notably the case design, as well as the dial design. However, there have been a few updates to it, specifically with the dial colors. This one, the SRPK89, being in black. The two other references come in an ivory color and a blue color. And the Lumibright indices on this watch have a very slight patina to them, which I honestly could care less about, or I couldn't care less about that. I get why they did it. You know, it makes it feel a bit older than it actually is, but at the same time it does feel a little bit corny in my opinion. Aside from that, aesthetically, this is very heavily influenced by the previous reference to the discontinued SNXS series. Say that 5 times fast. And yeah, it's just a handsome, good-looking watch in general. As far as the rest of its aesthetics go, wow, I cannot up today. As far as the rest of the looks go for this watch, you've got a thickness of 12.5 millimeters, a diameter in the case of 37.4 millimeters, and a lug-to-lug distance of 44.7 millimeters, along with an 18 millimeter strap width. So I don't really know if you're going to find a lot of aftermarket straps that'll fit this, but I'm sure that if you do some research, there's something out there that'll fit you. As far as the way this watch fits on the wrist, by the way, today I am wearing this Grand Seiko SPRK89, which has a diameter of 37.5 millimeters, so it's basically the same case size. I have this on my wrist right now. I'll show you what the SRPK looks like. It basically wears exactly the same as the SPRK89. They are practically the same case size with the exception of 0.01 millimeters, so they wear almost identical. And the lug-to-lug is only slightly smaller on this one compared to the SPGX, so that gives it a bit more of a compact feeling on the wrist, and the lugs do not overhang my wrist at all. For reference, I have a 6.9 inch wrist, so this watch is well within the acceptable range of sizes that I can get away with as a, you know, normal to average sized individual. Aside from that, this watch has a few features that are interesting about it to me, notably the fact that it comes with the day-date complication that is standard for 4R36 movements, as well as a really nice looking orange seconds hand that I frankly just love looking at. It gives it that little bit of like pop and personality that I think a watch as plain as this definitely needs. For those of you who may not be aware, I have a somewhat small watch collection, relatively speaking, that is filled majority with black dialed stainless steel watches. So it's quite honestly a very boring collection if you really look at it and compare it to some other people's, but it's what I like, and it's what I prefer to wear because it's the most versatile thing out there. A black dialed stainless steel watch is going to just work with just about every single outfit that you could possibly think of. whether you're wearing tactical gear, your uniform in garrison, or shorts and flip-flops, or even, I don't know, a business suit or whatever, right? It pretty much works in just about any form of clothing you could possibly think of, and that versatility means that you can just wear it whenever. And this watch fits that rule nicely too, but again, the orange seconds hand that it has just gives it that little bit of flair that allows it to stand out from the rest of the collection. Aside from that, this watch does have a 3-link style design that is slightly reminiscent of the bracelet on the Day-Date from Rolex. Now, I'm not comparing this watch to the Day-Date from Rolex. Granted, it does have the same complications as a Day-Date, but this is in no way a replacement for a Day-Date, and it in no way compares to the level of quality you get from something like a Day-Date. With that being said, though, if you're going to buy a Day-Date, you're going to be paying up to 100 times as much. Sorry, my math is off. A standard Day-Date is going to be like 40 grand minimum, possibly 50, depending on what you get. And this is $395 at MSRP. Now, I got this for $332 when I purchased this in country because of exchange rates, but $395 MSRP is going to be standard in the US. And with the tariff situation being what it is, who knows if that price is going to go up or not. But $395 is what you'll be paying for this if you buy this inside the United States. Now, with that being said, that kind of leads me into some of my gripes as far as this watch is concerned. This watch is pretty solid all around. Solid end links, solid bracelet, solid case design, and solid aesthetics. But the clasp on this is that standard stamped sheet metal clasp that you see on 80 to 90% of the watches in Seiko's collections. And to me, that is just absolutely boring and kind of lazy. I know that Seiko did this as a cost-cutting measure, but when you really think about it, when you're paying $395 for a watch like this, how much did you really save by stamping sheet metal to make a clasp? I mean, if you're going to charge that much, at least go the extra mile and give us a CNC'd or milled clasp like everyone else does at this point. I don't get it. Come on, Seiko. But beyond that, the other criticism I do have of this watch is that it is, sorry about the dog, by the way. The other criticism I have of this watch is that it is, unsurprisingly so, quite inaccurate. Now, anybody that knows standard Seiko watches, especially those in the Seiko 5 collection, those watches are very inaccurate, and the 4R36 movement is not well renowned for its accuracy. It's well renowned for being a durable, reliable, and multifunctional movement, right? But the one thing that the 4R36 movement is not is accurate. This watch easily gains about 30 to 45 seconds a day, which means that it runs extremely fast. Since the last time I set this watch about 4 days ago, this watch has gained about 3.5 minutes by my own guesstimation. I haven't put this on a time graph or anything. I'm too lazy to do that. I don't even own a time grapher, but yeah, comparing this to Atomic Time, when I originally set it about 3 or 4 days ago, this watch is already ahead by about 3 minutes or so, and that is just, as far as any sort of serious use watch is concerned, that's kind of unacceptable in my opinion. If you're going to have a watch for any sort of serious use that you would depend on for timing things, this is definitely not the way to go. And you would be better suited by just getting a solar powered G-Shock or a Garmin or something like this, right? But that brings me to the use case of this watch. Now, those of you who watch my channel know that I do own some expensive watches, but I don't always like to wear those all the time, especially if I go to certain places that, may be a little bit rougher than others. And as far as this watch is concerned, it has all the style elements of a watch that would be multiples in price, but it gives me that same satisfaction, and it gives me that similar aesthetic for, again, a fraction of the price. I don't have to worry about a watch like this getting lost, stolen, or damaged, because again, $395 is not that cheap, but it's definitely not as expensive as something like this brand Seiko, which was like 4 or 5 times the price of this. So it's nice to have a cheaper watch in the collection that looks equally as good, or just about as good as something like this, that I don't have to worry about beating up, scratching up, or just, you know, getting scraped when I wear it around the office daily. Because for the most part, I do work an office job when I'm not in the field, and I am a desk diver. So most of the time when you see me, you'll be seeing me at my desk furiously typing away at Excel spreadsheets and emails and Outlook. So this watch is definitely capable of standing up to that, and it's not going to look too bad with some scratches on it from my keyboard and my desk. So with that being said, as far as the use case for this goes, this is just a decent everyday piece that you can wear around, that you really don't have to worry about beating up too much, whether you're desk diving or taking this to the range or on a hike or whatever, right? You don't have to worry about beating this up too much because, one, it can take it, and then two, it's probably going to look a bit nicer after it has accumulated a little bit of character on it. So with that being said, I want to know your guys' thoughts down below on the Seiko reference. If you own it, let me know what your experience has been like. If you own any other watches from Seiko, let me know what your experience has been like. And that's all I really have for you guys. I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Take care.